Hey guys, welcome to my channel iCode. I'm Pallav and today we are going to look at tvOS app development. But before starting with, let's understand that why we should know about tvOS app development. And the simple answer is to open a whole new segment of career opportunities. Let me explain. So the first fact that we know is there are more iOS developers than tvOS app developers. That's true. But the facts that we don't know, or maybe we don't pay attention to them, there are huge opportunities for tvOS developers. Companies are coming to the business of OTT, and not just the giants like Amazon Prime or Netflix, but the companies like Hotstar, Sony Live, Alt Balaji, Book My Show, Hangama, and many other are joining this league and eventually contributing to this market. This opens a whole new segment for iOS developers. And moreover, tvOS app development is exactly similar to iOS app development. So if you know iOS app development, if you are good at it, then tvOS app development is a piece of cake for you. It's just about learning about the focus engine and it's damn easy what we are going to look at in this video. So let's dive in. So this is what we will be building today. And to stay away from the copyright issues, I'll be using my content and my artworks for this application. But that's enough for us to begin with. So this application will be having basically a home view wherein we'll be having a table view and collection view in the table view cells. So we'll be shifting our focus from one cell to another, and we'll see that how to handle it, how to have this parallax effect that you are seeing on these images, and how to control the focus. So at times we want parallax, at times we don't want it. Then we'll see that what's the challenge with the UI search controller and how to overcome it by making it on our own. And we'll be having this dummy login sort of thing to understand that how text fields work in the tvOS. So for that we'll be having this login sort of thing, and we'll see that how to update a view when focus is shifted between the table view cells. So the subscription status view is getting updated on the focus shifting in the table view. And then we'll be having a detailed view for the videos wherein we'll be having this details about the video, and on clicking on play we'll be opening the AVPlayerViewController wherein the video will be playing, and we'll be having the metadata of the video passed to it. So rest all of the things will be managed by AVPlayerViewController, but we'll see that how can we pass the metadata to the video. So this is what it will look like. It will have the details like the duration, the description, the language, and other thing that AVPlayerController handles its own. While building the app, we'll be having a look at all these, and the first one in the list is limitations of tvOS. Yes, there are some limitations in the tvOS. For example, there's no WebKit, there's no MapKit, so we cannot use web views in a tvOS application. Another big limitation is there's no persistent storage. So a tvOS app bundle can be of maximum 4 GB, and out of this, only 500 KB is allowed in the form of persistent storage that we can use using user defaults. So in this case, if you want to purchase something or you want to have some big resources in your bundle, you can go for on-demand resourcing or storing and retrieving them from iCloud, but they are all purgeable. So anytime operating system feels that these resources are occupying a lot of space and needs to be deleted, operating system will delete them. So this is the limitation of the persistent storage that we need to live with. Other than this, we'll look on how to handle the focus challenges like UI search controller, how to play a video using AVPlayerViewController, how to pass metadata to it, and how to get that parallax effect using the layered images. So in app icon also we'll be using layered images to get the parallax effect and the top shelf image. Everything else we'll be looking. So let's create our first tvOS application. I'll go on file, new project, and the tvOS app. And this is nothing different from what we used to do for iOS. Just instead of iOS, I'm selecting tvOS here. So let's create it, and I'll name it, say, iCode. You're free to name whatever you want, and just select next, the destination, and okay, that's the familiar setup that we get in an iOS application too. And this is how our main storyboard looks like. It is having one view controller here. And in our video of the demo application that what we will be building, we saw that there were 3 view controllers embedded in a tab bar. So first what we'll do is that we'll create 2 more view controllers. So, and these 3 view controllers will be for home, search, and profile. So first let's do one thing. Let's delete this view controller from here, and let's create our directory structure. So we'll be having different groups. Let's first create those groups quickly. One will be for home, then we will be having a group for search, our third will be profile, and eventually we'll be building our detail screen as well. So just create a group for that too. So detail, And now let's quickly create the classes for these view controllers. So now we are having these classes for our view controllers. Let's quickly assign them to these view controllers, and we'll set the storyboard ID as well, because that is how we'll be referencing these view controllers from the code. So let's quickly do it. So we have our view controllers set and we have the classes for them. Now let's create a tab bar in which these three view controllers will be embedded. And in the normal project, generally you will do this on your slash view controller or at a better place. But here I'm doing this in the app delegate just because this project is for demo purpose. So in this did finish launching, what I'll do is this, I'll just create a tab bar and will embed these three view controllers in it. So I'm having a setup for it already. I'll just use it. There's nothing different here. We have just taken the reference of the window, just created the references of our view controllers, referenced them from the storyboard through the IDs that we set there. And inside the tab controller, I have just set these three view controllers. So let's give it a run and see that how it looks. Right, so here's our tab bar and we are having these three view controllers: home, search, and profile. Now let's proceed ahead. And in the home view controller, we will be having a table view. Each table view will be having a collection view cell, and we'll be having different type of collection view cells. So one will be for carousel and the latest videos that we'll be having. Then we'll be having a different cell for the classified section, and then we'll be having another cell for the useful tools section. And I'll be making these three different cells just to show that how differently the focus can be handled. So let's proceed ahead. And for the entire project, we won't be making any web service call, no APIs, no dynamic data. We'll be working on the static data, and this is because I want to keep the focus on the tvOS related stuff and not on the general development. So whenever we'll be doing something related to tvOS, I'll mention it explicitly, but the most of the stuff that we'll be doing is somewhat you are familiar with, and we'll be just reusing those stuffs. So let's proceed and let's create our table view. So let's first wrap up the home view controllers. What I'll do is I'll just put a UI table view here. And before setting up the home view controller, let's quickly make the other table view cells. Let's create those, the other XIBs that we'll be needing. So I'll just create a view here for my views. And let me just quickly create those XIBs that we'll be using in the home view controller. So we have our videos table view cell. This will be the table view cell that we'll be using in our table view on home view controller, and this will be having a collection view in it, and we'll be using the other collection view cells that I have created in this collection view. So precisely this videos table view cell will be having a collection view, and all other cells will be the cells of that collection view. So I'll quickly set up these cells, the UI stuff, and then we'll move to the core tvOS part. The setup of the UI is done. Now let's start developing our application. So the first thing that I'll be doing is I'll be creating an enum. That enum will be having few cases like carousel, latest videos, classified videos, and the tools that we'll be using for setting up our table view cells and the collection view cells. So let's just create it. I'm having the saved code snippets for it. So I'll just use it. That's our enum. And you don't worry about the code. I'll be putting this entire project on the GitHub, and I'll put the GitHub link in the description so you can clone it from there. I'll just quickly wrap up the other usual part and we'll focus on the core tvOS part. So here in the home view controller, first let's set up our table view, and for that I'm having this setup table view method here. So we are just registering our nib here, and the row height is automatic dimension and reloading the table view, nothing much. Let's call it from setup table view. Now let's set up our cells. So starting with the collection view cells, the first one is this videos collection view cell. So here it is. So there's nothing much here. We are just having this awake from nib method wherein we are setting our poster image view, setting the corner radius and other things. And we have this reference of cell type that we'll be using for a reason in a moment. Now let's set up our second cell, that is our classified collection view cell. So this will be the square shaped cell. It is not having the image view. We are just having a UI view there, and it is there for a reason that we'll see in a while. So let's just set up awake from nib for the classified, similar to what we were having for the videos collection view cell. Okay, my bad, I forgot to take the outlet here, so let me just quickly do it. That's the container. I'll just drag the outlets. This will be our container view, and we are having the title label here. Title label. So here we are having a container view that is having our title label. What we will be doing is we'll be setting some random colors as the background color of this container view. So let's just write an extension on the UI color for the random. So I'll just do this random color. We are having this extension on the UI color which will return us a random color, and because I wanted all my colors to be bright, that's why I started this from 0.65, else I could have started from 0 to get the purely random colors. The third one is my tools collection view cell. So similarly, I'll just do one thing. I'll just take the outlet of this poster image view here. Poster image view. And we'll just set up its awake from nib. Similar to the other cells, we are just setting the corner radius, the border width, border layer, and other stuff here. So there's nothing new. And now comes our videos table view cell. So this is a cell that will be having the collection view. So let's quickly register the collection view cells here. For this video collection view, I'm having these cells. Let's call it from here in the awake from nib, and also I want the delegate and data source to be set up, so I'll just do that here. Dot delegate is equal to self, and dot data source is equal to self. And because we have set data source as self, so let's first put some data source here. So for that, I'll be using the dummy arrays. So here I'm having these arrays for different cells: carousel, latest, classified, and tools. And these are having nothing much but just the name of the images that I have already put in my assets. So here in my assets, I'm having these images and I'm referencing them through these arrays of latest videos, carousel videos. And now the only thing to get rid of these errors is to implement the delegate methods of the collection view. So let's just do that. Here in the self or row item, we are just referencing our videos collection view cell, setting the type. The type will be latest for latest, carousel for carousel. These are all the conventional, the regular stuff that we used to do for iOS. The same is for tvOS. There's no change. And now that we are having our videos table view cell set up, the only part remaining is setting up our main table view that is on our home view controller. So let's just go for it. So here for this table view, the number of rows will be the count of the cases that we are having in our cell type enum. We are just setting the title. These are the dummy titles, and the video table view cell is already having the data source for its collection view. We will come to this method can focus row at, but let's first give it a run and test that how it looks. So this is looking exactly like what we saw in the video at the starting of this video. And for shifting the focus, either you can use the arrow keys on the keyboard or you can use the on-screen remote. So if you're not having this on-screen remote, you can use the combination of Command Shift and R to show and hide this remote. And if you press the option and move the cursor on this glass surface of the remote, the focus will shift. So as I'm moving the cursor, the focus is shifting, but you can see here that there's no white border around the cells, so we are not getting to know that which cell is in focus. There's no zoom effect on the cells as well. There's no parallax effect. So that is all that we are going to see shortly, that how to handle focus. As of now, the focus is being handled as per the default behavior of the tvOS, but we will be overriding that behavior shortly using the delegate methods and overriding some of the methods related to the focus engine. So let's just go for it. But yes, we confirm that our basic setup, our basic structure of the table view and the collection view cells is working fine. Now let's move to the focus part. Unlike iOS application where user can tap anywhere on the screen, the tvOS uses point and click style of interaction. So here we need to take care about the shifting of the focus, about the navigation. We should think in the direction that how user will navigate to a particular UI component that we have placed somewhere on the screen. Is there a possible way to reach there? So these are few things that we need to keep in mind. And the UI view, UI view controller, UI presentation controller and everything else, they all conform to UI focus environment protocol, and because of this we get the necessary methods which we can override for handling the focus in a more custom way. So here's an example. We are having this method can focus row it. This is a delegate method of the table view and we are returning false from here. But before we change it or before we understand it, let's just change this false to true and let's see that what happens. Now that I'm shifting the focus, you can see this entire table view cell is being highlighted like this. And my collection view cells, my collection view items are not getting focus on them. Instead, the entire table view cell is being highlighted, it is being focused. This is because we are returning true from this delegate method, and the name of the method is self-explanatory, that can focus row it. So it basically asks us that whether we want this particular table view cell to be focused or not. So in such scenarios where we desperately want the focus to be disabled for a particular table view cell, we can return it false. Or in this case where we are having collection view in the table view cells and we want the focus to be on the collection view cells instead of the parent table view cell, we are returning it false from here. So now the focus will go on the children instead of the ancestor, but we are not getting to know that whether they are being focused or not. It should have some sort of feedback, some sort of UI change through which the user will come to know that which particular cell is in focus. So now let's move towards that part. What we will do is we will override a method in our collection view cells. So let's first go to this videos collection view cell here, and there's a method which will be overriding, that is did update focus in context with coordinator. So here there are two parameters, one is UI focus update context and the other one is UI focus animation coordinator. The UI focus update context tells about the context of the focus. So it basically tells about that which is the next item that is going to be focused, which was the previous item that was focused, and it tells about the context of the focus. And the coordinator is used for implementing the animations when that particular item is focused. So we will be using this method here. So we'll use this coordinator here for animating our cells for getting that zoom in effect. So coordinator dot animate, add coordinated animation, and we don't need any completion block, so I'll just set it as nil. And inside this block, let's put an if condition to identify that whether our cell is in focus or the focus has been removed from it. So if self dot is focused, and inside this closure, it's a bad practice to use a strong self, so I'll make it as v. So if self, and because we have made is an optional, so I'll use nil coalescing here, else. So this if condition will be executed when this particular cell will be in focus. So here we want our cell to have that zoom in effect. So for that, let's just change the transform if, and also we are having this cell type. So when the cell type will be of carousel, I want the transform to be a little bit smaller as compared to the other cell. So if, or let's first use the ternary here. So poster image view, my bad, self dot poster image view dot transform is equal to cgafine transform. Before this, let's check the type. So if say self dot type is equal to carousel, then I want the transform to be changed by say 1.01 and y also 1.01, and if it is not, then let's change the transform to a higher value, say 1.05 and 1.05. Also, when this cell will be focused, I want a white border around it as we see in the YouTube. So we are already having this border width and border color setup here. Let's just change it here. So self dot poster image view dot border dot layer dot border color is equal to say UI color dot white dot CG color. And in the else condition, when the focus will be removed from the cell, I want the cell to be shrink to its original position. So we'll be changing the transform back to 1, and we'll be changing the color of the border back to the clear color so that it appears that the focus has been shifted. So let's just copy it here back. And here I don't need this ternary because anyway we'll be changing the transform to 1. And this white color to say clear color. Now let's give it a run. I'll be pressing the down arrow key to move the focus to this cell, the carousel cell. And what our expectation is that its transform should be changed a little bit and we should have a white border around it like this or like this. So now it's pretty clear that which cell is having focus on, and we have done this using overriding the method did update focus. So this is one way of handling the focus, the custom way. We can do this for the UI views also. So that was the purpose that I use UI view for these classified cells, so that we can test that whether this things works only on the image views or we can use it on the UI view too. So let's do the same thing for the classified collection view cell as well. Here the same thing, did update focus, and let's not use coordinator here. Instead let's try using context here. So if I go for if context dot next focused view is equal to self, so we are asking that if this cell will be the view which is going to be focused next. If context dot next focused view is equal to self, so here we are checking if this cell, this view of ours will be the next view to which the focus will be shifting. In that case we'll be changing the transform and the border color. So container view dot transform is equal to cgafine transform, and let's change it to say 1.1 maybe, and let's change the border color as well. So container view dot layer dot border color is equal to UI color dot white dot CG color. And why just the UI view? Why just the container view? I want to change the transform of my label too. So let's do that as well. Title label dot transform is equal to cgafine transform, and let's change this to 1.1 as well. And in the else condition, when the focus will be removed from this particular cell, let's change them back to the border color as clear. The transform should be back to 1, and let's test it. Okay, my bad, instead of container view I have set the layer of the content view. Right there. So now the transform is changing of both content view and the label as well. So we saw that we are handling the focus in a custom way for our videos collection view cell, which is having an image view in it. And then we handled the focus for our classified collection view cell, which was having a UI view in it. And now let's handle a focus in a little bit of different way that is more engaging and appears really good to user. It gives a parallax sort of effect. So what I'll do is I'll go to this tools collection view cell where I'm having this image view, and there's a default property here saying that adjust on ancestor focus. So I'll just check it. Now what this will do, that whenever its ancestor will be focused, so its ancestor is the UI collection view cell, so whenever that particular UI collection view cell will be focused, this image view will adjust itself to give a parallax sort of effect. Let's first check it and then we'll talk about it. So let's move to our tools collection view cell here, and I'm pressing the option and I'm moving the cursor on this glass area of the remote, and you can see that it appears like the image is moving. There's a kind of parallax effect sort of thing is there, and it happens when your image is a layered image. So when designers make the image, they use certain layering techniques. So if your image is a layered image, each layer is rotated at a different rate and it gives a parallax effect sort of thing. Now let's start building our detail screen where we'll be having the description about the selected video. We'll be having an option for playing the video, and we'll have a collection view for suggested item for something like you may like sort of thing. So let's just move to our storyboard and set up the UI quickly. And in most of the tvOS applications, I saw the detail screen of two types. One, the Netflix sort of thing, where there's an image view and there's a gradient, a black gradient or a dark colored gradient on which the description of that particular content is placed. And the second common design is putting the artwork, the poster of that particular content in the background and putting a blur view over it. So it gives a really good effect. So we'll be using the second one here. So let's just move to our storyboard, and here we were having 3 view controllers. So let's quickly make one more view controller for our detail. So at the bottom of the hierarchy, I'll put an image view, then I'll put a blur view over it, and over that I'll make a container view where we'll be having two sections. In the top section, we'll be having the image view and the description of that particular content along with the play button, and in the bottom section, we'll be having a collection view for you may like sort of thing, the suggested items. So let's go for it. Now we are having this basic setup of our detail view complete. Obviously the data is hard coded, and in the actual project you will be setting this data from the response of API or from some other source. But here, just for the demo purpose, the data is hard coded. All the images are coming from assets. These will be replaced from the actual images in an actual project. But now that we have completed this detail screen, the UI of the detail screen, let's move to the implementation part of it. So for bringing this into the view, we'll need to handle the click of our collection view cells. So for that, let's create a protocol. So we'll be using a protocol and delegate view for this. In my home view, where I'm having my videos table view cell, and from the did select of the collection view, will trigger this delegate. And because we will be presenting the detail view controller on our home view controller, so let's confirm to this delegate on our home view controller. So first of all, so here in select item, we are just presenting our detail view controller here. And before giving it a run, let's populate the table view that we have placed in our detail view controller. Otherwise, we'll get the errors for not implementing the methods, the delegate methods over there. So let's first register the name. So we'll set up our table view here, and we'll call it from the view did load setup table view. Now all we need is the confirmation to the delegate methods. So I'll just go for it. Nothing new. Number of rows as 1. We are referencing to our videos table view cell and just change the title as you may like. And from the can focus row it, we are returning false because we want our collection view cells to be focused. Now let's give it a run. So if I click on my cell, we are getting this detail screen that we just built. It is having our title, our description, the play button, and the cells. So we have just reused our collection view cells that we made, the table view cell, the videos table view cell that we are already using on the home screen. So I'll just press this menu button to go back. And now that we are having our detail screen populated with the data, let's implement the play functionality. So for playing the video, I'm already having a video in my resources folder here. So this is the video I'm having. While in the actual project, you will be streaming this from some M3 UAT, but just for the demo purpose, I'm having this local resource set up here. So first thing that we need to do is to handle the click of the play button. So for that, let's write the action. So play button, I'll just connect the outlet. And for accessing the AV player, we need to import the AV kit. So just use it. We are importing the AV kit AV player here. And because we want to see the metadata in the player, like the description of the video, the language, the type of the video, the artwork and everything else. So for that, let's write this method for metadata. Let me quickly explain that what's happening in this method. So we have just made an empty array of AV metadata item, and all this code I have took it from the Apple's documentation. So I'll put that link in the description. So here we are just setting the title like improve your debugging skills. We are having the artwork. We are setting the description, and we are setting the genre as education, and then we are calling this method here make external metadata. So basically we are just setting this metadata for the external metadata property of our current item. So now all I need to do is just to connect the action. So just go to the main storyboard and I'll just connect the action here. Now let's test it. So let's go to our detail screen, and on click of play, our expectation is that our player should open, which should play the video that we have put in the resources. It should have the metadata, and all of these will be controlled by the AVPlayerViewController itself. So let's just click on the play. Hey guys, welcome to my. We can see that the video is playing. This thumbnail sort of thing is there in the bottom. We can scrub, we can seek using option and just moving on the glass area of the remote. And to see the metadata that we have set, either you can use the down arrow key or you can slide from the top of the remote like this. So here's our metadata that we set. We are having this artwork, this description, this title, this duration is automatically picked up by the AVPlayerViewController. This is the genre that we set, and we can even click on this text to read the complete description like this. So this is all that is being managed by the AVPlayerViewController itself. All we need to do is just set the metadata. So this is pretty much about the detail screen, about the home view controller. And now before proceeding to the search and the profile part, because there's nothing much in it, the most of the part of handling the focus we have seen here. So before proceeding to that part, let's first see the app icon and the top shelf image, then we'll go to the search and the profile part. So for the app icon in the assets folder, we are having this directory, this app icon and top shelf image. App icon is pretty similar to what we have in our iOS applications. It's just that it's layered here. We'll see it. But the top shelf image is something that we do not have in our iOS applications. It's different for the tvOS applications. So top shelf image is something that is used when the user drags their application and puts it into the first row of the home screen. So like here, if we see it on our simulator, if I go back here, this is the first row, and on the simulator I'm not having any other rows, any other applications, but in the actual Apple TV you will see that you will be having multiple applications and only few of them can reside in the top row. So all the applications that are in the first row, they show their top shelf image in this part where we are seeing this Apple TV here. So instead of getting more into the theory, let's just see it. We'll put a top shelf image here. I'm having it, and I'm having the app icons as well, so we'll see that too. I'm having this top shelf image here. I'll just put it here, and I'm not putting all the resolutions, the 2x and the y top shelf image one. So let's just give it a run to see that how it looks like. So now when the focus will move to our app icon, that is our application will be focused, we'll see our top shelf image that we have set in place of this Apple TV icon. So I'll just use this arrow key, and you can see that this is the image that we have set. It is here. So basically it is for promoting the content in place of this top shelf image. We can also have a carousel sort of thing. If you want to learn about that, please put it in the comments. I'll make a video for it. So it is about promoting the content. We can have a carousel here. We can have the different contents in that carousel, and then can deep link to that particular content directly from the home screen of the Apple TV. And even settings icon is having its top shelf image like this. Now comes to the app icon part, how to make this layered app icon. It gives a really good parallax effect. So for that, I'm having 3 different images for app icon. Here if you will see, there are 3 different sections, front, middle and back. So these are for the different layers that we are supposed to put for making our app icon. So here I'm having this layer 1, which is just an icon. I'm having this layer 2, which is having some text and nothing else, and we are having this layer 3 as a plain white background. So all these 3 layers together will form our app icon and will create that parallax effect. So you can ask your designers to create these layered images. In the first one, only the app icon is there, rest everything is transparent. Similar is for layer 2 and layer 3. So let me just put it for the front. I want this Apple icon, and you can see that only this is here, and if you hover the cursor over there, you will see this parallax effect. And for the second layer, I want my text to be there, so I'll put it here. And in the last layer, I want a white background. Now together this will make my app icon look like this, and if you hover here, you will get an idea that how it will look on the Apple TV. So let's give it a run and see. So let's go to the home screen of the Apple TV and see our app icon, how it looks like. So just like this settings icon, let's see that if our app icon also looks similar. So if I hover here, and you can see that a parallax sort of effect is there, and this is because the rotation of all the 3 layers is having at a different rate, eventually creating this parallax effect. So this is how you can tell your designers to create the app icons, and they can go crazy with the creativity. The app icons can look really good. The top shelf images can be even better. You can promote your content, you can have the carousel in the top shelf, and then deep link to that particular content for more engaging experience. Now comes our second controller, that is our search controller. So from my experience, from all the tvOS development that I have done, I felt that using the UI search controller provided by Apple is really a mess. It works fine for the iOS applications, but for tvOS applications, it's really a problem. And the problem comes because we need an on-screen keyboard. The default implementation for the text field for the tvOS is that when you click on the text field, you get another controller in which you get the keyboard from which you can enter the input. But for the search, because we want the search results to be reflected right at the screen and the keyboard should be on the same screen as well, using of UI search controller creates problem. It's not that scalable, it's not that flexible. So if you want to do the customizations, if you want to change the UI search controller as per your theme, as per your branding colors, the customizations like the height, width, and the icons and everything else, it's really complex to use the UI search controller provided by the Apple. So the best way, the easiest way that I thought of is, or the most of the people are using, is creating your own keyboard and using it just like a normal text field and your own keyboard. And then below it, you can have your search results in the form of table view, collection view, or whatever you want. But using your own keyboard to make your search container is really a good idea. that I would suggest. But if you want to go with UI search controller, you can go. But at a later point of time, you might regret that you could have used your own custom implementation for it, and it would have been much easier. That is what I felt from my experience. So here I'll be using the same. I'll be putting up a text field and we'll turn off the user interaction for the text field so that user can't click on it and the default keyboard does not appear. And below that we'll have our own keyboard. So for that we'll make a custom class for the keyboard buttons. So let's first create our custom component that will be our keyboard button, and then we'll move to the storyboard part. So let's create a group for it saying custom component. Here in the awake from nib, I'm just setting the background color is clear. We don't want it for our keyboard buttons. And in the did update focus, I'm just changing the title color of the button so that user come to know that the focus is on which particular button. That's pretty much, we have done a lot more than this in the did update focus, so it's pretty easy now. Now in our storyboard, we are having our search view controller here. So let's go here and just do something. So what we can do is we'll have our UI text field, and let's say 60 from top, maybe 240, and say 86, and let's put it horizontally in the container, or maybe we can change the width a little more, and let's put a UI button here. This is the custom button. Let's change the class to keyboard button, and in the text just say A, and let's give it a run. So as per our implementation, when the focus will be on our button, its color should change to orange, so like this. And now there are few issues with this. So the first thing that we want to do is to turn off the user interaction for our text field, and let's put few more buttons so that we can check that how the focus is shifting from one button to another and how the colors are changing. So here we are having 4 buttons, and the focus won't go to the text field because we have turned off the user interaction for it. And on shifting the focus, the colors are changing for the buttons. So this was just an example. You can do this programmatically too. It will be way more easier if you do this programmatically, and this is pretty much of it. So all you need to do is just connect an action to it, and then you can make your web service calls for the search and can populate the results here in this area by placing a table view, collection view sort of thing. And it's way more easier than using the UI search controller by the Apple. So that's about the search part, and now comes the profile part. So we won't be having much in the profile part. We'll just have 2 text fields and a button to create the login sort of view. So let's go for it. So here we are having nothing much, just two text fields and a button for login. And if we click on this text field, so what I told earlier, that the default behavior in the tvOS of text field is that on clicking on them you get a different controller on which the keyboard is there. So if we click on this, another controller will be presented on which will be having an on-screen keyboard. So that is something that I talked about while implementing the search. So an on-screen keyboard in a different view is not something that we wanted for the search. So that's why we went for the custom implementation over there. But here for the username and password, we can go with the default implementation. So if we click here, we see that there's a different controller having this keyboard over here. And if I just write my name here, Pallav, and hit enter, the focus shifts to next text field automatically. So that is why we are getting this on-screen keyboard for the password field here. So if I write some password here, iCode, and because I haven't selected the secure text entry for this text field, we are getting this password here. Otherwise it behaves exactly similar to as that of iOS. And if I click enter, here's our values in the text fields, and then on click of login you can handle the action similarly. So this is the default behavior of the text fields. We can override it using the methods like did update focus if you want to have some border, or if you want to have some shadow effect, some depth effect, or some other custom fonts, or anything that you want. We can override it just like we did for our table view cells, our collection view cells. So it's pretty much similar to what we have in iOS. There's nothing new, there's nothing much different. And if you guys want me to make more videos on tvOS, please put it in the comments. I'll try to cover it. And if there's anything related to video that you are having doubt about, please put that in comments. I'll put the project in the GitHub, and we'll put the GitHub link in the description. So just clone the project, just check it out. So that's pretty much for this video. Let's write better code together. Happy coding, stay safe.